and the goal is to bring you your next favorite band.
Thanks for having us. This is a very cool show.
Yeah, so through many iterations, and we finally landed on the weirdest one by far.
Yeah, simple feelings, and boom, you got a song.
Yeah.
I remember this one time. I had been writing some songs, and I went out. I'm just going right in on this story. I went out, and so I was.
The story's longer than the song itself. We'll go ahead and play it.
And listen, it's going to be everybody's favorite band. Welcome to your next favorite band. That's both the show title and our promise to you. We here at Stereophilia Studio are tireless in our pursuit of finding incredible, genre-defiant artists who are either a hot up-and-coming band or a group that has been delivering for years but have flown under the radar. Tonight, we have the blistering blend of Mardi Gras Indian funk with jazzy detours and hip-hop flavor that is The Rumble, featuring Chief Joseph Boudreaux Jr. Each month, we will bring you live streams, audio podcasts, and perhaps even a live concert where you can listen to the stories and hear the music of artists personally curated by us based on what we feel will be worthy of your time. Be sure to subscribe and tune in to each episode because the possibilities are endless and you never know who will be your next favorite band. Hello, everybody. I am your host, Philip Reese.
Hello, and I'm your co-host, David Moore.
And you are listening to
Your Next Favorite Band.
And we have a special one tonight.
We have a Grammy-nominated one tonight.
I am so excited. A Grammy-nominated band, currently in the voting period here. So we are gonna do our best to recruit more votes for them and then be rooting like heck for them come February when the Grammys are on. But super special tonight here we have the Rumble off of we got to see them perform at Musikfest.
Yep, they were actually one of your top picks for the whole festival.
And they, as predicted, they did drop an atomic funk bomb on Southside Bethlehem, and it may never be the same.
Well, I mean, the place already looked rough in parts of it. Behind the parts they've rebuilt, there's some questionable parts of the steel that are left.
That's true. And Optimus Prime was there, and
yeah. I mean, look, RoboCop showed up. I mean, we could discuss the entire history of things that have been filmed at the steel,
right, and blown up there. But before we get to the interview, actually, here I found this kind of fun thing. Let's play around with this. We're gonna do this little background music that's now part of the offerings here at Restream. How was your Christmas, David?
Oh, that's festive. My Christmas was festive.
Very good, very good.
How was yours?
It was excellent. Had 3 college-aged kids come home on different nights that week, and it was just super cool.
Is that like Christmas Carol? Sort of like, It
was similar to that, but a whole lot smellier. Found this story that I thought would be super kind of interesting to share here. Remember when the kids were little and they kind of couldn't get to sleep or stay to sleep on Christmas Eve?
Sure.
So there was a story here in North Carolina, 3 a.m. Katie and Scott Rentgen were awakened by their 3-year-old asking for scissors. And so he this seemed odd to them, of course, because why would their 3-year-old need a pair of scissors
at 3 a.m.
At 3 a.m. So
right.
Turns out he went into the where the tree was and opened everyone's presents.
He's being helpful.
That's exactly what he said. In the story goes that he didn't want anybody to be confused about which ones was theirs because maybe he didn't understand there were labels on everything. So he thought he was doing everybody a favor because there was a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, as well as obviously the 2 parents. And this is what they came to. And I believe the story even went that they had only finished wrapping around midnight. So they basically finished, put it on a tree, went to bed, woke up 3 hours later, and said 3-year-old had opened up everything. Which they were most concerned, obviously, about their 6-year-old, who they didn't want to. I think the father said something. We didn't need the villain origin story. So they quickly rewrapped, but they didn't have any wrapping paper left over, so they quickly rewrapped what was there in as well as they could and got things back together. So Christmas was saved.
Well, they have a Christmas story now.
That's exactly right. They said they're going to tell that at the wedding. But super fun to have this also with some background music. That was kind of cool. But anyway, happy holidays to all. Happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hope everyone had a good finish to the year. I hope people get this week to kind of have some downtime. It's not always possible for everyone. I am one of those people. But this is time to hopefully recharge the batteries before it gets to the new year. But let's get into the interview. Let's get to the music, Phil, right? That's what everyone always says.
I was going to put that in the ticker across the bottom.
That's exactly right. So as we mentioned, we have a Grammy-nominated band here in the category of Best Regional Roots Music Album, and it is their debut album. So this is really quite a testimony to their super talent. I was sharing a story with them before we came on here that there were people who were hoping we would bring them on the show because they seem to have such an interesting story to tell, and that's an understatement. So we're going to share some music here, a song of theirs. It's actually the opening track off of the album, Live from the Maple Leaf, that's nominated, and it is a song called Up Until the Morning. And it's, like I said, it's that opening track off the album, and then David will do some bio, and we will bring on Chief Joseph Boudreaux Jr. and TJ Norris from the band. So here is some Up Until the Morning.
Featuring 7 Grammy-nominated musicians, The Rumble is more than just a band. It's an opportunity to be immersed in a wholly unique facet of New Orleans culture. The group fuses iconic New Orleans funk in the vein of the Meters and the Neville Brothers, but updated, modern, and vibrant, fitting the new generation, with electrifying brass and the singular vision splendor of the Black Masking Carnival tradition. Their live show is a symphony of rich color and propulsive sound, with each member sharing vocal duties and engaging the audience in the classic Mardi Gras Indian-style call and response chanting. The Rumble continues the fight to preserve the legacies and traditions of the community for the next generation, while bringing new layers of depth to their live performance. The Rumble's debut album, Live at the Maple Leaf, received a Grammy nomination for Best Regional Roots Album 2024.
Welcome to the show, Chief Joseph Boudreaux Jr. and TJ Norris from The Rumble.
What's going on, y'all?
What an honor to have you, and I'm going to let this kind of play in the background just because it is so fun, and I mean, this is the actual recording that's nominated, so we should honor that as well.
Yeah. We had fun that night.
Now
I
this
think
was
you guys
the
have fun every night.
yeah, I'm sure you do. Now this was the first place you all performed together. Is this that performance, or is
No,
this a subsequent one?
no, this is not the first
I
performance.
didn't think so, but
The first performance at the Maple Leaf was incredible. It was incredible because we had so many people prove to us that they really was behind us after our departure and after everything that went on. And we decided to come out as the Rumble. It was kind of a blind side. We didn't know what we were going to, be embraced by the city or not. And sure enough, the Maple Leaf opened up their doors for us, and the city came out, and it was incredible. So,
yeah. Because the Maple Leaf is like this iconic establishment on Oak Street, right?
yeah,
Yeah. And amazing that you all fit up on that stage.
it took a lot. It took a lot.
Yeah.
I TJ like half of the way.
Exactly, bro.
But I also read a quote that you guys had for that opening night, that first performance. There was it felt like the chains were broken off because it seemed like you were sharing in that interview that you hadn't quite hit the vibe just yet, and you probably needed it to be an actual performance with actual audience, and it just seemed like the beast was unleashed that night.
Yeah, that night we were able to do some things that we weren't previously able to do. Just musically, the energy and everything just changed once we knew that we were free and we were free to just carry on how we wanted to. I guess it gave us a feeling of, okay, you know what? Now I'm about to go all in. I think the whole band had that sentiment. So you felt that energy as soon as you walked in the door of the Maple Leaf that night. And it's been that way every time the Rumble hit the stage, no matter where we at, whether it's the Maple Leaf or whether it's anywhere else in the world. That's the same energy.
Yeah, I mean, and David mentioned it in the beginning. It's probably worth mentioning here again to have you guys share a little bit about it. You all were Grammy-nominated musicians for previous projects you were part of, but now you're the Rumble getting nominated together as a tightly knit crew. So like, that's different, but you have this pedigree of being extremely, well-recognized, talented musicians.
Yeah. I mean, TJ can probably speak on this as well, but when that last project, we put that project together, understanding that we had the talent, but we just was missing a particular part. So we had to create the Rumble to get that part.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and we all one of the things I think that makes our band work is everyone has done the work.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So a lot of people ask us, what's your songwriting style? How is it being with seven owners?
Right.
How many 7 chiefs and not enough Indians? Not even to be funny with the whole,
Sure.
So you know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
having that, but the thing that works for us is because everyone has, had their own thing. Everyone is accomplishing their own right. So we trust each other, even when we don't necessarily trust, and not necessarily trust, but when we don't agree.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I may not agree that this hi-hat pattern works over the bass line that I came up with, but I don't play the drums. So I'm gonna let the drum, you know what I'm saying? And then now, if it doesn't work, then we also trust each other enough to be able to have conversations.
Sure.
But
let's take a moment here. I actually have a picture of the full band. If you maybe want to introduce and kind of just mention what everyone plays, like there's a shot of the band.
Okay. Starting from left to right, it's Ari Tidal. He's our guitarist. Trenton O'Neill right next to him. That's the drummer. Right behind Chief, we got Joe Jose Mays. And then going behind Chief on the other side, we have I'm sorry. Let's back up. Jose plays trombone. And then we have Aurelian Barnes next to him. Aurelian is our trumpet player. And Andrew Yanofsky, piano, organ, all things keys. And then myself on bass. And we got the man himself, Chief Joseph Boudreaux, in the middle.
And there he is.
Check that guy out.
In a little bit, we're gonna get into the suit, and a lot of the history of that. Because people are wanting to hear more about that, and would love to have you be able to share that because it also is a legacy that is a part of your personal history too. So like I think it's going to be very cool to spend some more time on that. But the music here on this album, you were talking there about the songwriting. I thought it was a really cool thing that 14 tracks on the album, 13 of them are original, and different people are, like you just mentioned, the songwriters. It could be 2 or 3 or 4 on different mix-ups on each one. But I thought it was also really kind of cool that you had one cover, and it's called New Suit, which is, again, I just think it was a brilliant choice by you all because it is a new suit for you all. And then also it was an homage to, I believe it was the band that you're somewhat carrying the torch from. And it also was a band that your father was in. Is that correct?
Yep, correct. The Wild Magnolias.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was done intentionally. You know, we wanted to make sure that although we putting out all original brand new music, you know, we also want to make it very, very clear that we are rooted in our past and we always want to pay homage to those who done it before us. So that was definitely done intentionally.
And the sound is like, if you don't mind kind of expanding upon this too, like the second line and the call and response is that tradition, but then you're definitely taking it to the more modern and distinctively your sound, where you're adding in more of that jazz and hip hop and R&B and obviously the funk that's always there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a thing of us. Really, it's more so kind of just the time that we live in. So as much as we listen to, I mean, both of my degrees are in jazz studies. I really, really like listening to straight ahead.
Sure.
But it's also 2023 and I have a 5-year-old. So I hear all of the things that's on television.
Sure.
When we get in the car, he wants to hear the radio. He wants to hear Tank and the Bangers. He wants, you know what I'm saying? So these are all the things that are in my ears. So when we come to, to a rehearsal or even on a gig, because actually a lot of our things just like they happen at sound check.
Sound check.
I believe it.
Sound check.
Also, you're gonna do an entire Bluey set at this point in time with a 5-year-old.
Yeah. So we get out there and I may start to play something literally that I heard on a Bluey episode, but our drummer who has 0 kids, like I say, he'll play a totally different groove over it. Our piano player who knows, I mean, his wife babysits sometimes, so he may know where it comes from. And I mean, we just end up with kind of this magical thing. Yeah. And it's always kind of beautiful because it's never what we expect, but it's what we expect. You know what I'm saying? We go into it knowing that it's not going to be what we think, but it's always what we're looking for.
Yeah. I also say that, like, with our songs, you can kind of hear everyone's different personality throughout the album. I always tell anybody, like, if you get to know the Rumble, the actual members, and you start to listen to the album, then you can start to kind of pick who came up with that, and who influenced that based off of just their personality.
Yeah.
That sounds like coming back to your point about the trust from before. Like you have people that are like, oh, this person has a jazz background, like you were saying, TJ, or you've got somebody that probably has a church background that, you can lean into that, where somebody wants to do something that's got like a gospel flair to it, or something else where somebody who's a huge this, that, or the other thing. And that's where that trust comes from, because you start to realize where these strengths are.
Oh, yes, indeed. I mean,
never question TJ on gospel licks at all. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely that, and vice versa. If we're coming up with a song, but let's say we're trying to come up with some lyrics, and I'm thinking about being out there on Mardi Gras Day, I've never put a suit on. So as much as I come up with these lyrics, I definitely go back to Chief and be like, "What you think? What's this?" I remember one time we was coming up with a song. He was like, "That wouldn't happen." I was like, "All right, cool, mix it."
The writing process definitely is organic too, because I remember a time like I think it was me and you, TJ. We were walking down the aisle of the hotel, and we heard two of our other band members in their room, and they were working on something, and we just barged in and it was like, "What y'all working on?" Okay, all right, we're gonna do this, and let's
This
do
needs
this.
to happen now, right? This is
Next
this.
thing you know, we got a song. That's pretty much how most of the writing is done. Somebody might bring something to the table, and then the rest of the group might compile and come up with something. Or, me and TJ, we room together a lot. So we may have nothing to do while we're waiting around in the hotel and come up with something and bring it to the band. And, that's just how it happens.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's very organic.
Yeah. And then do lyrics kind of spur of the moment happen as well, or is that happening parallel to all of that?
With me, my lyrics kind of just come to me based off of what I'm feeling. Like if I hear a bass line and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is speaking to me in this way.
Sure.
I'll just start mumbling something on the microphone while we're doing a sound check. TJ might hear it and he might back me up and start harmonizing with whatever I'm saying. And we do it 3 times, and next thing you know, we got lyrics, and those lyrics mean something. What do we mean? Let's create a song about this. And then now we're sitting there like, okay, now we got it. Let's do that.
Yeah.
It happened. It happens.
And I guess the best, like the word I think of it is like it all feels organic. Like it sometimes feels like you're watching it for the first time. Like you that's the energy you're bringing to the show. Yeah. It's what makes it so special, and it's because it was all formed in that real time. And I think that you're just tapping back into that mindset rather than performing the song. And I think that's what makes it feel so electric.
Yeah. We also try to be very free in the music. Everyone, like I say, the pedigree is pretty high. William Barnes is an amazing vocalist, writer, trumpet player, percussionist, and I mean he's been around.
He's also an awesome hype man. Holy smokes, that opening man!
You see what I'm saying? And I mean, Aurelian he's done a lot of performing. He plays with Preservation Hall. See the shirt on.
Yep.
He's toured with them often. I play with the Dirty Dozen Brass Band.
Who I've seen before.
Domowski, he plays he does stuff with the Revivalists and David Shaw. So I say that to say, like, when we get on the stage, we also like bring all of the things that we've learned on those different stages. We just kind of try it on stage and see what happens. And really, that's what makes it fun.
Sure.
I mean, generally, I'm thinking about the times that Trent will just change up a drum groove and not tell anyone. And I'll look back and he'd be like, "Yep."
Yeah. Keep going.
Yep. And it's like, all right, bro, you're right. You're the drummer. Let's go. Let's see where we can go. And being free in the music that allows us to come up with other things. There have been many Maple Leaf nights where things have happened, and we like, yeah, glad they recorded that one.
Yeah. I was saying that. I was thinking about that before. When you're coming up with licks or lyrics or whatever, you guys need like constant recording material, so you're like not forgetting anything.
Right. Oh yeah.
We at least have about 3 phones recording doing sound check.
Exactly.
Like, and we'll look around. Did you get that? Yep, I got
it. Yeah. Infamous. There was a comedy duo that I saw one time. They did a thing about music, and they were like, always record," because they had missed this whole part, and they were like both sitting around like holding their heads like on how terrible it was that they missed it.
Because those moments don't happen again. You can try to force it, but it won't happen that same way.
Speaking of live, I mean, we've talked about how good your live show is, and it is just phenomenal. If you get a chance to see the Rumble, anybody that's catching this, please make a point. But it's also interesting to me that your first release is a live release. Can you speak about that for a second? Like, that's a choice, obviously, that was made to put out a live release versus, obviously, a lot of groups would start with a studio album. So, like, I think it's fantastic, and I think it's the right way to hear your music, but I think it's an interesting choice.
So we recorded a studio record before the live record. We were in the studio last year. When 23? Last year, yeah. Man,
almost 24. We're almost so close.
So we were in the studio last year. I want to say it was last summer or early spring. May have been actually late spring going into the summer, where we recorded a studio record, because most of the music that we had started to play on the road with Chawa had not been recorded, and it was things that we had wrote.
Gotcha.
So we were already being in that band and thinking about the fact that we're writing music to be recorded. It was the next logical thing for us to do once we had played and kind of seen that the city was opening up to us and all. But also, we know that it's important for people to know what it feels like to be at a Rumble show. So no one really knew us. You know, I mean, people knew who we were, but if you ask someone in Topeka, Kansas, probably not. So we just kind of was like, what would make them listen to us? And would the studio record get the point across? Yes, but we kind of want them to know what they would be getting. And also, it was kind of like you say, it was intentional. We also were hitting the road, and also it was going to be good for talent buyers, obviously, to be able to say, this is what the show is like. I know you guys haven't seen them before.
Right.
You have seen them before, but you haven't, and this is what the show would be like. And that it ended up working out in our benefit.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I agree. It was a smart move. I think it was a great little calling card to what you all do. Sorry, I cut you off there, Joseph.
No, I was just going back on what TJ was saying. Just it was important to not only hear the music, but to actually feel what the Rumble was actually about, because we always like to say it's an experience more or less than just coming to a show. Because you learn about the different facets of culture in New Orleans. You hear all this music being intertwined in ways that you've never even heard it before. So it's more of an experience than just listening. So it was really important to put that live element out.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's even get into some of that, some of the New Orleans culture, the Mardi Gras Indian culture. Is that the right phrasing? Or black masking Indian?
Actually, it's black masking Indian, but Mardi Gras Indian will still suffice.
Got it.
It may be, confusing for some.
Got it. And so the transition here, because I have a picture to share. Like we talked about, the song "New Suit" was the Wild Magnolias. That was Big Chief Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
And then your father, Monk Boudreaux, was part of that band, as well as the Golden Eagles, right?
Absolutely.
And then so here's a picture of you and your dad, Monk Boudreaux.
Yeah.
I made it in there too. Look at me.
I'm blocking TJ
up. So these suits, is that the right phrase?
Absolutely, suits.
Okay. The suits that are worn are, and I don't want to take away any of your rumble. They're all handmade by you.
Yeah.
They weigh hundreds of pounds. How heavy is this thing?
Well, this particular suit, it's a broken down form of the suit that you'll see me wear on Mardi Gras. So it's much smaller. So this one right here might weigh about 70 pounds, 60 pounds. But the one that I wear on Mardi Gras will be way bigger and it's heavier. So that one actually weighs a couple.
I got this cool picture.
125, 150, something like that.
And I don't know if this is the one, because it might be closer. This is what you wore during Musikfest. Is this still a lighter one, or
that's a lighter version?
Lighter one, yeah. I love that picture, by the way. I thought that was
anytime you see me on the stage, it's definitely lighter.
You got super lucky too. Musikfest can often be 1,000 degrees, which I'm sure you've been in that. I mean, you're from New Orleans, but I mean, it's these are just incredible. Like the work that goes into it. I was trying to get a more close-up shot so you can maybe even tell us, because each image is representative of something. Like everything means something. So I don't know if maybe you want to. I'll give you this one here to maybe do the best you can with.
Well, this suit right here, this entire suit was designed to be the spirit of the eagle. That was the name of the suit that I gave. But every image on this particular suit, it shows the Indian embracing the eagle in some way. The pants, I don't know if you could see it, but it's an Indian chief and he has like an eagle cap draped over his head. And on the jacket, there's Indians doing like a ceremonial dance around fire with eagle wings. So they're all just pictures that's actually just showing the embracing and embodiment of the eagle, which is our tribe namesake. So I decided I wanted to do it for that. So every year, I kind of change up whatever the suit design is going to be.
Got it.
Traditionally, the suits were always designed to just tell stories of other native stories. You know, you may have a story of Sitting Bull, story of Little Bighorn, you know, the battle at Little Bighorn, like all these stories that we have in history, these stories will be beaded and told throughout the suit. As the culture kind of progressed and started to become a little bit more elaborate with the suits, and we had more materials that we can, you know, access now. So the suits became a little bit different. The story that you were telling sometimes didn't derive from an old story.
Sure.
Sometimes it derived from a current story in your life, you know, or someone that you want to pay homage to. I did a suit in 2018 of my dad. I want to pay homage to him.
Yeah.
My dad created his first studio album in 1988. 2018 was the anniversary of that album being released. So I paid homage to him. It was called Lightning and Thunder. After his album, and that entire suit depicted different moments from his life and his career.
Very cool.
Everything on that suit, that's probably my most memorable suit of making, because I kept my entire suit secret from him.
Wow, that is cool.
He didn't know I was doing it, and we lived literally in right behind each other. So he would just pop up at my house, and I would have to hide stuff.
And then, if I read this right, this all stems back to like 1700s, when on Sundays, enslaved people, both the black slaves and the native slaves, were allowed to come together, and they were singing and telling stories and sharing their cultures. Is that the way that all kind of stems from?
Well, it's a little bit different from that. But that what you're saying is it is true. On Sundays,
that's more so Congo Square.
I got you. In New Orleans, Congo Square in New Orleans on Sundays, the slaves were actually able to practice their cultures and their traditions on Sundays. A lot of those cultures and traditions are always stem from drums. Communicate, we celebrate, we dance. Everything is done through drums. So a lot of the same beats that you would hear on the streets of New Orleans today were real similar to the beats that you would hear coming from Congo Square. So that's that connection. But the connection with Indians and masking Indians and Carnival dates back to when Carnival was not acceptable for everyone. Everyone was allowed to participate in the party, which is Carnival. Well, at least not in the way that you would see it on the television, you know, with the floats and the parades. And that part of it, we weren't allowed to participate in it. So our people actually created their own carnival. And that's where the suits come from. Because in New Orleans and Mardi Gras, you can be whatever you want to be. That's the day where all the laws are a little bit more relaxed. That's the day where people can traditionally just be what you wanted to be. If you want to dress up as a bunny rabbit, that's what you did. But so these men, they wanted to pay homage to the natives. So they dressed up and they created suits. Now, the suits that they created, though, it was not elaborate like the suits that we wear today.
Got it.
These suits were created from trinkets that you would pick up, purses, curtains. A lot of the older Indians from way, way back, they would take fish scales because they're reflective, and they would sew them on the suits. So the suits were actually made up of all these things that you can just create. But the whole purpose of it was to give the people in our neighborhoods an opportunity of their own carnival. So we came out in these suits to parade for our community and pay homage to our community. So, and that kind of just grew into its own subculture of these suits that we have today, because at one point there were mock battles and everything.
And is that so is it the suits correlated to a certain ward, or was it
well,
the tribe?
I'll explain that.
Okay.
The suits, getting back to the wards, right? So New Orleans is separated by wards.
I have a picture here that while you're chatting, we can bring this up.
Yeah, so it's
so that's New Orleans. People, if you're thinking of Jackson Square, that's kind of like where 5 and 6 touch the river.
Yeah.
And then when you kind of wrap around to the left of that, 1 and 10 are kind of the Garden District, right?
Yeah.
And then yours is the 13th, which comes a
Yep.
little bit farther around that
There
bend.
in the 13th.
Yeah.
So, but now all these wards right here on the map, they would pretty much be similar far as the suit is constructed.
Got it.
When you venture a little further downtown, then you'll start to see some of the different suits, like in the 7. You see where you see the 7 at?
Yep.
You will see a lot of 3-dimensional suits.
Mm-hmm.
These suits were made popular, made notable by Tootie Montana, Big Chief Tootie Montana. He created a style that he wanted his images and his stuff to stick out. And he was a master carpenter, so of course he had the skills to make that so. And once he did that, a lot of people in that neighborhood adapted to that.
Sure.
And he taught as a chief would do. He taught his community, and they embraced it, and they created an entire different style. But at the end of the day, we all doing the same thing. We all got to sit down and sew it bead by bead, stone by stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is a map here of more of the labels. If you heard Aurelian in that opening, he said you were from way uptown. That is not just it's uptown. It's literally called Uptown. You can see it there on the map there. That and then some of the other labels there, Mid City, Garden District, and so on.
Ooh, look at the East, man. Lord.
It's really big.
It is a fascinating study. Like, thank you so much for touching on that a little bit. There's so much more that people could research and learn about. We could probably do a whole separate podcast just on that, the wards and the histories of those. TJ, question for you, because you mentioned before about studying jazz. Is that Congo Square drumming and such, is that the roots of jazz? Is that where it starts to really start to?
A lot of people like to think so, more so because of in the jazz world, we're on 2 and 4 and the swing, bang, sing, dang. So a lot of people like to think that it came from the call and response things that were happening in Congo Square. I kind of subscribe to that also, because it makes sense, because from there you're gonna get into a lot of the other Black, and then the mixed, or not literally mixed, but like the Black and then the Creole people who were like, we're gonna play instruments, and we're pretty good, you know what I'm saying? And they were. That's what's crazy about it. So we're pretty good, and we're going to continue to perform. And it just kind of blossomed from just the normal art form. The beautiful thing about New Orleans too is that these things still happen. Like, brass bands playing in New Orleans don't just play brass band music like Rebirth and you know what I'm saying? Like, you'll hear brass bands playing trad tunes, and it sounds amazing. And it sounds beautiful. And I'm not talking about the Dirty Dozen Brass Band. Love those guys. I'm not talking about people who've been doing it for 40 years. I'm talking about 22-year-olds.
Right.
Still play, you know what I'm saying? Because it's still in the city. It's still the culture. But yeah, I mean, it's safe to say that that's kind of the roots and the origins of jazz. Jelly Roll Morton likes to say that he created jazz. There's a whole thing too. I mean, what I, as a jazz studier, I guess you could call it, I really do want to just highlight this and say a lot of people forget about New Orleans around 1950. It was still kind of a thing in the big band era because of the way some of the music was written. But you get to the 50s, a lot of people forget about it. I'm telling you right now, I'm here to stand on business and let you know that it's still alive and well in the city right now.
Oh yeah.
It's still alive. You go to certain places and you hear that. I mean, it's serious, high level.
Oh yeah.
Music being. Oh Lord.
Yeah. I a year ago, April, I got engaged in New Orleans.
Oh, okay, congrats.
Yeah, it was a great place to do it. And just go walking up and down Frenchman Street, and you're just hearing just filthy jazz, and it's nobody you've ever heard of before.
Exactly.
And like you said, I didn't go in. You could just hear it from the street. It easily could have been a 22-year-old.
Probably a kid that just came from band practice at high school, and he sounds like he's been playing for 20 years.
Yeah.
Seriously, we have these kids out here where you're like,
still have their school uniform on, and they would come out.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I just the music that you just, it's in the fabric of that city. It's just so great to just walk around and just kind of bathe in it.
Exactly.
So definitely wanted to get back to, because I want to share this song, and it kind of speaks to what you were starting to touch on, Chief, where it was the wards and the suits and that carnival, where when it started out, it led to fights, right? Where it was like people were battling for.
Well, you had battles. You had battles that we had mock battles, and then you also in the time before me, you had some of these battles did get physical.
Sure.
And sometimes people would get a little, little banged up a little bit.
Right.
So somewhere around late 60s, early 70s is when the Indians started to battle more with the suit.
Got it.
That's when the suit become more prevalent. The design of the suit, how elaborate you can make it, the more flamboyant you are. You battling with that now. So we're battling with creativity.
Yeah. So it was more of a ceremonial battle, not a physical one.
Yeah.
Of
I mean, it
metaphor.
always was ceremonial, but
right.
You had guys that, again, we're dealing with men. We're dealing with men with ego.
Right.
And it is a competition. And things got a little hairy sometimes.
Sure.
Once,
go ahead.
Once, it was understood that we're doing it to pay respect, and we, had to take that out of it, because it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good look for anyone. And we started battling with the suits. Then that's when you start to see a lot of things change. The suits go from costing, a couple bucks to put together to thousands.
Sure.
So of course, when you spend $8,000 on an Indian suit, you're not about to get out there and tear it up.
No.
But so I want to share this song called "Trouble" from the Rumble. We recorded it live at the Musikfest set that you did here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And you're going to hear certain lines of the song refer to, Flag Boy and Spy Boy. And it's like, these are titles that people have in the crew, and it's part of the parade, if you will.
The song Trouble was actually, I wrote that song based off of not Mardi Gras.
Okay.
I actually wrote it off of St. Joseph's Night.
Okay.
Because we come out on St. Joseph's Night, and it's like Mardi Gras, but it happens at night. And the difference between Mardi Gras and St. Joseph's Night now, and it has been for the past 25, 30 years, it's more of a high energy. That's where the battle really happens.
Sure.
And like I told you about these old stories, you have guys who listen to all these old stories, these old war stories, and they get amped up, and they go out there, they got points to prove, everybody feels like they're the best on St. Joseph's Night. And you know how Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan until you get punched in the mouth?
Yep.
So that's kind of how it is. It's like everybody think they're the man until they run across the man. And when you got two chiefs that think they're the man and run across, it's about to be a showdown.
There's always going to be some trouble.
It's going to be a showdown, yeah. So you got to be prepared for trouble. But it is also just about knowing how to avoid trouble. I'll say that, because part of being a chief that I was always taught from my father, it's not only being able to handle yourself in trouble, is knowing how to be smart enough to avoid trouble and how to keep your tribe and your people safe.
Yeah.
So it's not only just about running head on to that trouble. Sometimes you got to use your head and like, you know what? I'm going to go this way and I'm going to let y'all deal with that,
Right.
So everybody don't have to be the tough guy all the time.
That's right. Well, let's take a listen to Trouble by the Rumble.
Because today, Big Chief is on display. As the prettiest in the city, you can't do nothing with them and say you don't want trouble. Don't go downtown. The West Bank saying they the best around, but I'm a uptown Indian, go to the Eagle to looking for trouble. We want trouble, y'all. Locked in the hole, you can't do nothing about it. You gotta keep the wits with you, the crowd's getting crowded and wild. Started wildin', tell them open the hole. Now it's two big chiefs standing there, toe to toe. You flex your muscle, show 'em where you're lighting that thunder. How your needle work when you was on tour all summer. Feel that rumble, feet move, walk on water. Old timers tell us drag 'em through shallow water. We want trouble. Come on.
You guys sounded so amazing that day.
Man, I just realized this is going.
And I also love like when you're dancing along with it. I just love when the musicians love their own music. It's so great. But yeah, I mean, anything to share with the from our festival, Musikfest? What did you guys think of it?
Oh man, Musikfest, great. it was great. The crowd was. It wasn't what I was expecting. I did not expect the crowd to kind of like, take to it, but once we got on stage, you can feel the energy. So I loved it. I can't wait to come back.
Yeah, it was one of the ones that they don't stop talking about it. You see, I'm not on stage. I played with a couple of other artists, and I was already out with someone, and I remember trying to make this one like really, really work, but I was
sure
out of the country, and it was like, man, I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the one where if I had been able to rent a car, I would have got there in exactly enough time to hit the stage, but would have never made it back.
Right.
But this is one that they always talk about. So I'm a little jealous, and that's why.
Yeah, the crowd, man. I
know, right?
I remember getting up on stage, and the crowd to me before we got on stage. That's why I was so shocked, because I was like, you can kind of read the crowd before you get on. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, there's going to be a mid crowd, going to be kind of mild,
Mm-hmm.
Might take a little bit to get them up. But nah, as soon as we hit the stage, it was like, yeah.
I think what that is there's 15 different stages going on at the same time. So most likely people were planning for you, but we're at another stage and then.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Because once we got on stage, it's like everybody was just like, wow.
Yeah, and your sound is so perfect. David could attest to this. Like, that is what Musikfest is about. Like, there are people who don't know a thing about who's coming up, but put 9 people on stage with horns and a dude in a suit, and I'm in. Like, there's just the whole town is like all about like all that kind of wild. Never would have predicted that one from happening, and then they come from all over the place.
I think people are just resting between sets at that point in time because
too,
it's 10 days long, so it's a long festival. So in August, so gotta pace yourself. Hydration is key.
A lot of hydration, a lot of naps at midday, but no, you guys sounded great, and you're a perfect sound for the festival. I really hope you guys come back again next year.
Yeah.
Be back.
Yep.
TJ Mike can join us this time.
I'm gonna be there, right? Whatever day it is, I'm just gonna say no.
That's right. You have to be there.
Backstage.
Yeah.
So cool. So, thank you for sharing those stories. I think that's so cool, and I think a lot of people really get a lot out of that. The New Orleans history, the suits, and your personal stories as well. That was fantastic. What can we promote for you? Like, can we? We can bring up your site. Obviously, the Grammy thing here is now you've been nominated, and it's on the voters. Like, not like the general public can vote, but we can all wish cast and pray and bring all sorts of good vibes for you.
Put our name out there. They'll heal you guys.
Yeah.
The voters will heal you.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully an interview like this might shine some light on exactly what you guys are all about. What we can do here is bring up your site so people can kind of just see a little bit about what that's all about. So there's you all there, and the Grammy nominated album. Look at this. So great. Gigs coming up. Is there anything currently on the schedule?
We actually 24 is gearing up. We haven't released the dates yet, but it's a good bit of dates that are coming up. And we also, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be dropping tomorrow. If not tomorrow, I'm sorry, but I know that it's dropping soon. As we are releasing, so there's the merch, and we will be releasing. People will be able to pre-order the live at the.
Oh yeah. There is the vinyl. You can pre-order vinyl. That I got an email about today. So yeah, it's definitely going to be today or tomorrow that people will become aware of it, and you can pre-order. It's like a double issue, right? And it's got
because there's songs that aren't on the record.
Yeah, and then there's like a cool poster in there and stuff
like Grammy edition vinyl. So it's gonna have some cool stuff with it.
Well, obviously, the best thing you do there is to follow you guys on the social, Facebook, Instagram. We'll echo anything out as well on our channel so that people can kind of get a flavor of it as well. I mean, just all the best for you all. We'll be pulling for you for sure. One other thing we wanted to mention, we have one other song to share. We always share something in the closing credits there, so we're going to share the song Bow Down. I don't know if you wanted to give it a little bit of an intro here about what that song is about, because after we do the credits, we'll share that song.
Bow Down was like I just was telling you guys earlier. You know how everyone thinks they're, the guy until they run across the guy? Well, Bow Down was actually inspired by Mardi Gras. 2019, Aurelian Barnes was standing on legendary Second and Dries, and I was meeting someone. And when I opened up my suit, the entire crowd just was like, and everybody was kind of like going crazy. And that kind of like solidified, like, yeah, we know who the man is, right? And that's kind of what the inspiration, because Aurelian was standing right there.
Awesome.
And that's where he come up from. When I open up my suit, it ain't nothing that you can do. So,
not to mention, we were on a flight headed to the West Coast. Aurelian is sitting in front of me, and he said, "Yo, I think I got something." And it was the verse to Bow Down.
Yeah.
Like, while we were all on the plane, we like, yeah, we got to get this one out.
That's fantastic.
The airport actually does well for us too. We rode Morning Glory in the airport, me and Yano. So airport works for us too. The van
so inspiring to be in the airport.
Oh, Cinnabon just does it for you.
Yes, indeed.
You know it.
Well, TJ Norris, Chief Joseph Boudreaux Jr., such an honor to have you on. Best of luck with the Grammy nomination and all your shows next year. Hopefully, definitely catch another one. Super hope you guys can do Musikfest again next year. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. David.
Phillip.
The Rumble.
Grammy
and who
nominated.
I hesitate to even ask you, what did we learn today? Because we learned a lot. We learned jazz history. We learned.
I have to go back and review my notes.
New Orleans history, wards and suits, and
there's a lot. I'm waiting for the beating lessons so I can work on that kind of stuff, because that takes a lot of skill.
Yeah, absolutely. But really hope that they, for those of you who have a vote for the Rumble.
Yeah, if you can vote in the Regional Roots album category, please vote for the Rumble and live at Maple Leaf, and follow them on the socials or sign up for their email list.
Yeah, and if you don't have a vote, go at the Grammys and just throw your support behind it. And one thing we always like to share. The merch is a huge way to share your support and add, not just the revenue, but also the, kind of like you're letting that band know that you really
you're representing them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then, as mentioned, the vinyl is soon to be
exactly right.
Soon to be cusping over the vinyl horizon. I don't know what the whole come together of that is.
All right, Phil. Let's say goodbye to everybody.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Your Next Favorite Band. We'd like to sincerely thank Chief Joseph Boudreaux Jr. and TJ Norris from the Rumble for joining us today, for sharing us with their amazing music from this Grammy-nominated album, Live at the Maple Leaf, and all the best of luck to them for winning that category. You've got my vote if I had one to give, but. Put links in the show notes to all of the band's websites, social media channels, and especially to this very, very cool vinyl release that's specific to the Grammy opportunity. So it should be a very cool opportunity for people to snag. As always, our hope here is to bring you your next favorite band. If you tuned in tonight because you already knew the Rumble, thank you so much for checking us out. Hopefully you liked what you heard, and you might like and subscribe and follow us so we can bring you your next favorite band in a future episode. We do release them every week. It's usually on a Tuesday night just because of the holiday. It was a Wednesday this week, but it is weekly. And you can subscribe on YouTube or on any of the podcast formats that you prefer. And we also have the entire catalog out there on the YouTube channel and on the podcast platform. So you might already have your next favorite band available to you, and you just got to go find it. We got tons of great stuff coming up here after the new year. A very special, different episode. We're going to go behind the sound with a band and really learn more about their gear. And I do hope to see you at a live show soon. Don't forget to stay tuned for Bow Down, off of the Grammy-nominated album, Live at the Maple Leaf. Here is the Rumble with Bow Down.
But you're coming in hot, so I switched the plan. I said I wasn't gonna use it, but I got a little secret that they wish they had. Say, I'm an Indian ruler. I see Doc and Bofino, we bust that ass. Bye.